I think this is huge news. You ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. Or if you're listening on the radio, buckle up, okay? I think the Republicans might have given up. What? Yeah, I think this thing might be over. They might have already thrown in the towel one day and it's already done.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Is it done already? Do we have him? All right, now, why am I getting so excited? Why is everybody applauding in the background? Get a load of these statements by Senator Jeff Sessions, the head of the Judiciary Committee for the Republicans. Of course, he's not the head of the overall committee because they're the minority party, but he's their lead guy. Look at what he says. The nominee has serious problems, but I would think that we would all have a good hearing, take our time, and do it right. And then the senators can cast their vote up or down based on whether or not they think this is the kind of judge that should be on the court. Up or down, that means they're not going to filibuster. In fact, he says in the next sentence, I don't sense a filibuster in the works. Now look, I don't want to get too carried away and get too excited here. It might be an obvious trick where they go, oh, we weren't going to, but look at the things we found out about her. No, we're going to have to do it. But for the moment being, these are pretty clear words, and it would be a little tough to backpedal on this. And it appears that right now, he does not seem to be headed in that direction. And that when they asked him, hey, listen, you voted against her in the past, Senator Sessions, when she was up for confirmation in the lower appeals courts. And he said, look, quote, we ought to look at her record fresh, meaning I don't even want to be encumbered by what I said about her in the past. Now, if he was alone, I'd say, hey, maybe it's a strategy, or maybe he's off the reservation here. But wait till you get a load of another senator, Senator Grassley, Republican of Iowa. Again, when asked about why he voted against her in the past, first he said, evidently, I was one of 27 people that voted against her when she went on the circuit, and I don't want anybody to believe that I'm going to have that be a reason for me having my mind made up now, because quite frankly, I'm going to have to go back and hopefully I gave a speech at the time, or there's something on the record of my rationale for the no vote at the time. You understand what he's saying there? He's saying, like, I don't even know why I voted no against her. I'm going to have to go back and check it, because right now, apparently he's not inclined to vote no against her. That seems like a strong statement, but that was the impression he left when he was on C-SPAN, and I watched the whole thing, and it was very clear that he was heading in that direction, and if it wasn't clear enough, at the end, the host asked him flat out, do you think Sotomayor will be confirmed this time around? He had a one-word answer. Yes. And that's it. Now, those are two very important Republican senators, but in and of itself, I would still say, no, not enough. Yeah, those are two important white flags that we seem to see on the horizon, but it could be a trick. You know how Republicans are, white flag, right, you know how it goes. But here's the key. It's how much pressure they get from their right-wing base. Now, the conservative talk show hosts are going crazy. We'll get to that soon enough. And they're not letting up at all. But the actual interest groups, like Focus on the Family. Look at this. Spokesperson Bruce Hausknecht, a judicial analyst for Focus on the Family, said that she gives, quote, gives us some room for optimism. Continuing, she said, on abortion funding and protesting, and also on religious speech and religious freedom, she applied the law correctly. It looks like they might not fight her. And here's why. She's the best they're going to get. They would be very, very foolish to fight her. Because when you actually look at her record, and today I had a chance to go over her record a lot more on a number of issues, she is quite moderate. In fact, the only abortion ruling she has is on the global gag rule, as we explained to you yesterday. And she did agree with the Bush administration and said since there's funding involved, that they could do a global gag rule. You know, we don't know whether she agrees with that policy or not, but since on a political level, but since she's a judge, it doesn't matter if she agrees with it on a political level. She said, as a matter of law, yes, the administration can do this. And so she voted with them on that. And then Wall Street Journal broke down her record saying, look, here's all the times she's voted with pro-business. And here are all the times that she has voted, you know, you could say cases of reverse discrimination, as some of the conservatives are claiming, with the white firefighters in Connecticut. But then look at when she rules against female black employee in this case, and another elderly black employee in another case. I love how they're surprised by that. They're like, she didn't rule just based on race? That's weird. That's what we would have done. Huh. Maybe they're more open-minded on the other side. Now, of course she didn't rule just based on race, and that's not how they do it. She's a very, very smart woman, and if you look at her overall record, it's quite moderate. Now, I think if you're a liberal, it doesn't necessarily give you cause for concern because that global gag rule doesn't go to the heart of Roe versus Wade. And those decisions that were characterized as pro-business, I thought were eminently reasonable. Now, of course, everybody can disagree on, on specific cases. But I think they looked at her record and they were like, not so bad. Not so bad. The funny thing is, even though they had readied all these lines of attack and they had already done it before she got even nominated, and we saw the leaked Republican talking points about how they were going to attack her, not judging cases on the law, but judging them based on feelings and race and all this other nonsense. When they look at a record, that is simply not the case. And is it possible that the conservatives were actually swayed by facts a little bit? That they looked at the record and they're like, oh, wait, we didn't quite expect that. That's interesting. And they thought, well, another pick might be more liberal in their mind, right? So we might have a first-round knockout here.